What's up, guys? This is Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the broader markets, and break down what's happening with some new news involving Tesla that just came out that's very important. What you should be watching for as time goes on. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below, or sign up to my QR code that's right over here. If you sign up and deposit $100, you're going to get $20 of free Nvidia stock. Deposit $2,000 to get $50 worth. Deposits $10,000 to get $300 worth. And deposit $50,000 to get $1,000 of free Nvidia. You're also going to qualify for an 8.1% APY on invested cash. The offer is very, very soon, so check out my links down below to get those free Nvidia shares. Anyways, as far as the market's going, one thing that's worth mentioning is that Tesla's been on a bit of a downtrend. As you can tell, we're making lower highs and lower lows in this channel. And right now, we're just barely holding on to that like 328 area. We're going to see if we try to bounce off this. This is where our 50 EMA happens to be. And then if we do get some kind of bounce move, we'll be rejected, just continue to fall from here as we continue to downtrend like this. So be very, very careful with Tesla. Now, there's been some news that came out that with what's going on so far, Tesla's going to be offering some discounts of up to like 40% to lease a Tesla. Once again, they're trying to incentivize more people to use them due to a possible lack of storage space for Tesla vehicles in the UK, according to reports. And they're also saying that once again, the sales in the UK are not doing as well, which is the reason why, there's a lack of storage space. So with what's going on so far, they're trying to drop the lease prices by a larger extent, once again, to free up some space. And I also read some reports about how prices could also drop possibly in European countries, once again, to try to get those sales right back up. However, despite that news, there is some other good pieces of news coming out. The Tesla 2026 Model Y L could be once again coming out very soon. There's been a lot of talk about how there's photos of it, and this is going to be a very, very nice six-seater, which could be very useful in China. There could be 6 and 7 seat configurations. I think it's very, very cool. It's also to be sold in Europe, so in China and in Europe, and this could once again help their sales, at least to some extent. And we're seeing a lot of talk about this. Tesla will be launching a 6-seater Model Y L in China very soon. Despite that news, Tesla's still very, very flat right now, so we're going to see if we could get some kind of bounce or not. Keep in mind that some housing data at 10 a.m., which is very minor. And at 11:30 a.m., we have the 3 and 6 month bill auctions, which could cause some more volatility. On top of this, we have the Home Depot announcing earnings tomorrow. Everything today is quite minor. Not really much is going on for now. And then when it comes to news, lots of retail earnings once again are coming out between Tuesday and Thursday. President Trump is continuing to speak with, Putin and Zelensky, trying to see if he could find peace in the whole Russia-Ukraine situation. He's going to be meeting up with Zelensky and having a long meeting with him today now. And we're going to see what ends up happening, at least for the time being. So keep all of this in mind. And that's pretty much it for now, at least on what the headlines are suggesting. So with that being said, let's focus now on the chart. Tesla's on a bit of a downtrend, but we have support at 328. If we hold 328, we're looking for 332 or above to be tested. 332 to 335 could be tested. Then if we need to break past 335 to push higher for like 340. If we don't break that, then we could just turn down like this. And I do think this is what Tesla's going to do for now. We might just see a lot of choppy price action like we saw for the last couple of days. But we might try to push a couple of points to like 330 or so, maybe the low 330s. Then we could turn back down towards like 328. If that fails us, I'm looking for 325 to be tested. We might just continue to downtrend like this. So be very mindful of this. There could be some downside coming. Look for a temporary bounce before we turn right back down. And if we lose 328, we're looking for a move right back down to 325. When it comes to Tesla, by the way, guys, let me just say the daily time frame is still a little bit weak looking. So even if we do bounce a bit, this could be followed by more downside. And 325 does look more favorable on the daily. Excuse me. That's what I'm seeing so far on Tesla's daily chart. So if we bounce a little bit, yes, we could test the low 330s, but then we could turn down, continue to fall back down for 328 and eventually 325 in case that fails us. For SPY, we're once again on an uptrend, higher highs and higher lows. But the thing is, here's the levels to watch for. If we could break and hold 645, we're going to be pushing a lot higher. If we lose 642, we're looking for a dip back down. We could be dipping to like 640 or below. We might temporarily try to bounce for like 645 and shop around, but if we can't hold above 642, be ready for some downside. So be prepared just in case that level fails us. We might see a move like this where we kind of bounce in the morning, then we consolidate and start to slow down as time goes on for 640. On the QQQ, same thing is going on. This might try to bounce a bit for like 578 or so. But as time goes on, we need to hold 575. If we don't, we could eventually start dipping for 572 or below. So be very mindful of that on the QQQ as tech is showing some weakness. The IWM is going to try to bounce for like 228 to 230. Then we're going to see if this turns back down and eventually starts dipping back down for like 225. So give that the time it needs. On ES, we have this support right over here. We're technically underneath the channel, at least right now. But despite that, we have our 50 EMA to watch for. The yellow line is acting as support, and then we have resistance by where the green line is. We might bounce a little bit upon open, and then we're going to see if this turns down. And then this could eventually lead us to dipping towards 64.40 or below. So be very mindful of that. Same thing with NQ, it's showing more weaknesses, barely holding the yellow line. May consolidate between 23,840 and 23,737 before it starts to dip lower for 23,600. For Bitcoin, we're making lower highs right here. So we could try to push for basically 116,000 to 116,500. Then we could turn back down. And we're going to see what happens at least after that. So keep that in mind. So Tesla might rebound a bit back up to like 332 or so. Then we'll see if this turns back down. So give this the time it needs. For Nvda, the same thing is going on. We could retest 181 to 182. Then we'll see if we turn back down. This may just continue to downtrend at least for now. For Aapl, we're also dipping a bit. We could be retesting 229. We'll see if we bounce a bit before we continue to dip for 225. So be very, very careful with that. Supermicro is kind of flat here between 42 and 45, so give that some time. AMD might be retesting 174 and then consolidate here. If it doesn't hold, we could be dipping to like 170. Coinbase is technically dipping a little bit as we predicted. We're coming down to fill this gap. Now that the gap filled, we could bounce it a little bit. And we need to get back above 320 to balance more. If not, we might just consolidate between 320 and 310 before we start to dip lower. Amazon's going to consolidate, might bounce a bit for like the low 230s before it dips for like 227 if that doesn't hold. Meta's favoring that it might consolidate around 780 before dipping to like 772. Google may consolidate before it dips to 203 and we'll see if it bounces. Then Microsoft is making lower highs here, so it might consolidate before it dips back down to 518. So keep that in mind. The VIX is showing some life, but I do think that this might dip a little bit. It might come down to fill this gap here. Then we're going to see if the VIX eventually tries to break out, if the market's about to see further downside. So give this some time. This could suggest that the market may bounce a little bit. So look for a temporary bounce upon open. SPY might retest like 644 to 645. But then we could turn lower if we lose 642. And the market may affect Tesla. Tesla may also bounce upon open. I might try to retest like 332 or so, but then be careful because we need to break 335 to push a lot more. If we can't, there's going to be a risk of us continuing to fall for 328 and 325 again as time progresses. All right. So that being said, I thank you all so much for listening. I hope you guys have a good rest of your guys' days, and I'll be back with another update very, very soon. Have a good one, and peace out.